My name is Meryl Fury. I am a registered nurse. I am president and CEO of Plant-Based Nutrition Movement, which is a 501c3 located in the Chicagoland area. I've been vegan since 2015?
Okay.
Something like 2015.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
So I'm a registered nurse. And I started whittling animal products out of my diet when I was 15. So I started by taking out mammals, and then fish, and then dairy products, and then poultry. And that's pretty much all that's left. Eggs went in there somewhere. And I did it because I find I am a healthier person when I don't eat animal products at all.
Now, how would you know that, though?
So I'm a nurse. I spend a lot of time tracking what happens in the human body. I've been in and outside of the human body, wow, since I was 15, since I started this journey.
At 15, you were inside and outside of bodies? What?
Well, yeah, I live in my own body, right? I'm inside, and I started studying human health at that time. And actually, I started studying it because when I gave up mammals, the four-leggeds, my mom was convinced I was going to be very, very sick and possibly die. So she would ask me questions. How are you getting enough protein? Where is your calcium? Where is your this? What about your iron? You're going to have rickets. You're going to get sick, da-da-da. And I had to be able to answer her in a way that was believable. So I started studying human health. By the time I was 17, I was studying herbology. 18, I was practicing herbology. And it just only made sense to continue. There weren't a lot of books available at that time, so I studied and read what I could. There was no published anything by Dr. T. Colin Campbell or Caldwell Esselstyn, or it wasn't a thing. It was just a study I did on my own body, right? Yeah. So did my skin clear up? Did my digestion improve? Was I more clear thinking? Was I just being a rebel? There were those things.
So then in 2015, you make it to the point of being entirely vegan. What changed after that?
My whole life. Just my attitude changed. How I see the world changed. The impact of our animal farming and the way that we treat animals and the way we consume them and the impact that has on the planet, the impact that has had on my family members. The way we consume, all of that, just became crystal clear. And ultimately, about 2020, when COVID hit, and so many people were getting sick, and the ones who got sick and had the worst outcomes were the people who had these pre-existing conditions, and all those pre-existing conditions can be linked to diet and lifestyle. And as a nurse, it just was too obvious, and my specialty being public health, it's really super, super obvious. And then further, even deeper into that, when you look at the impact that it has on our children, it's monstrous. It's hideous, what we do to our youngest, most vulnerable people, because we think it's a really good idea to give them chicken nuggets and pepperoni pizza every day. It's unconscionable to me. It's actually physically painful to watch that.
I agree. What do you mean it's hurting them? How do you know it's hurting them?
How do I know it's hurting the children? Wow. So, some not so fun facts, right? In the last 5 years, the CDC has reduced our life expectancy, and that's the life expectancy of our children, 4 times. There are 78 million kids in this country, in the US, and not one of them, except for the very few whose parents are, already very heavily vegan or real, and not even just vegan, right? It's whole food plant-based, because I could be vegan and eat Twizzlers all day and that would be fine, right?
Whole food plant-based is 100% vegan to me.
It is, right? But there are people who can make that distinction. You can parse that. So there's 78 million kids in the country, and not one of them, if you go by statistics, is eating a healthy diet. 67% of the calories of children aged 2 to 19 come from highly processed foods, which is just abominable. 1 in 47 kids is already diagnosed as having autism, and there's been a projection, I hope, please, that it doesn't come true. 50% of our children will be autistic by 2025. That would be horrible. Even if it was 50% by 2045, that would be horrible. right? ADHD is on the rise, obesity is on the rise, pediatric diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, all of it, cancers, all of it on the rise. And so much of it, I'll guess 80% of it, is attributable to lifestyle and diet. As a medical professional, this is not acceptable. As a parent, a mother, this is not acceptable. That has to change. We are killing ourselves.
Are you raising your children?
My children are already grown. Thank goodness. Two of them are.
Okay, 2 of them are
Yes, 2 of them are vegan, whole food, plant-based. And my other one is just plain a rebellious eater. He'll eat anything, I think.
Now, could it be because maybe they didn't start off that way from birth?
You know, they didn't start off that way from birth. 2 younger ones, and I should qualify that. I have 2 biological children, and the third one is my bonus, right? My bonus daughter.
And which one is the rebellious one?
The oldest biological.
Okay.
He's just plain adventurous and willing to try anything 5 times. But the 2 younger ones are plant-based, and they see the value, and they're also athletes and train hard and do a lot to maintain their bodies. So they just see the benefits of it.
I'm excited about putting that message out there that it's not only safe, but it's probably most protective to raise your children vegan from conception. Do you think if you could do it over again, you would do that?
I would. I really would. I absolutely would. Yeah. It stops so much harm to the environment and to the child. You know, there's so many studies that show the connection between anxiety, depression, oppositional defiance, all these, emotional and psychological challenges that my kids played with a little bit. They were not ever diagnosed, but they were kind of, we all have our moments where we go in and out of these phases and these spaces. Who knows if that would have made a difference for them. The acne and all of it could have been changed, done differently.
Yeah, and even they say by the time most children are at the age of 10, they've already got the beginning stages of heart disease.
Yeah, some of them by the age of 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Already starting with fatty streaks in their coronary arteries.
Even in utero, due to their mother's behaviors.
Yes, well, it goes back to their grandmothers.
Yeah.
It's that far back, right?
Sex organs,
yeah, so we can't do much about the 2 generations before, but certainly to raise your children in a healthy manner, healthy food at the very least, because childhood's complicated, right? There's all kinds of things that impact a child even with the most tightly controlled environment. But one thing we can do is manage the food.
Yeah. What kind of foods do you eat on a daily basis, on an ideal day?
Wow, well that varies, right? So I restrict my eating time. So I usually start at 9 a.m. and I end by 4. It might start with a salad. I don't have any rules about what's a breakfast food or what's a dinner food. It's all the same. It's just food that I'm eating, right? So it could start with a salad. It could be, I love black beans and rice, a good hearty, spicy, heavily flavorful kind of black bean and rice soup, or like a pico de gallo, or gallo pinto is what I mean. It might be hummus on a whole wheat wrap, or it might be curries. I love curry. I also, I studied herbology, so I believe in the power of food as medicine for sure, and medicinal herbs specifically. So eating medicinal herbs in ways that they can have impact and decrease inflammation and pain or things like that, I love those. So curry is wonderful. Avocados, anything that's, I really haven't met a fruit or vegetable that I don't like.
And legumes and seeds and nuts and
mushrooms, all of it.
Yeah.
Any of it. Yeah. Now I do have to say that since I had the magic COVID, I did have that. Didn't have to go in the hospital. It was just like a bad flu for me. I lost my sense of taste and smell. And it has not fully returned. It's an interesting now mishmash of how the flavors and smells are. So I used to really like celery and I used to love cilantro, but now those smell very much alike and I don't like either one. Thankfully, I did not lose my taste for chocolate. So that's good.
That's one of my faves too. I never did like cilantro though.
Well, 7% of the population does not.
Maybe if I get COVID, I will.
Right? It could flip the switch for you.
You're at the National Health Association conference right now.
Yes.
And you have a booth here.
I do.
And what's that booth all about?
The booth is for our nonprofit, where I'm the president and CEO. The nonprofit is called Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. We are located in the Chicago-ish area physically. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. I live in Wisconsin, however, just over the northern border from Illinois. So we creep into Wisconsin here and there, right? And we do a lot more work, not so much in Chicago itself, but outside of Chicago, the Chicagoland area is what they call that, and in northeastern Illinois. That is a nonprofit that was founded by Dr. Stephen Loam, who is an interventional cardiologist. And it was founded because as a cardiologist, he could see that all that cardiology education he had and all of his interventions and medications and stenting and all that stuff was not making a difference for people. So the mission is to help people transition from really lousy ways of eating to as healthy as possible. And we are along the continuum. We just help people move along, right? Without judgment. In that nonprofit also, we have a project which is called 6 Million Seeds. And the SEEDS is an acronym that stands for Students Educated in Environment, Diet, and Sustainability. And in that project, we go into educational settings, mostly with primary schools, elementary schools, that age group. And we teach them about eating healthy food. So we'll partner with a local community gardener. They do the gardening part because I'm not so good at the gardening part. I have a partner that I work with. Her name is Carrie Bruno. She's a pharmacist. We get together. We teach the kids about cooking and why it's important to eat a rainbow and what is fiber and what is water and why are these things good and how rainbow Skittles are not really eating the rainbow. And we go through all kinds of stuff like that. So that's one part of the project. The second part is that we have a podcast, which is called Growing a Healthy Child. And we talk to all kinds of people about the importance of how you feed your children and the environment, the food environment you put around your children. And then the last part of the project is actually working collaboratively with other like-minded and like-missioned organizations. Because I truly believe that working in silos and being competitive, there's a little bit of competition between the organizations, which is typical for America. That's the American way, right? We've come about as far as we can come doing it that way. We need to work together. Yes. Coke and Pepsi don't honestly compete. They work together to get done what they do, right?
Hopefully VeganLinked helps out.
Let's work it out, that's what we got to do. That's absolutely what we got to do. We have to work together because I'll tell you, I'll be heartbroken if in another 10 or 15 years, 50% of our kids are autistic. I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. So I can't sleep unless I fight. I have to fight. Yeah. That's my jam.
Now, how does this relate to autism?
So the way we feed our children, not only making sure they're getting a good, rich, plant-based diet, right? Lots of variety of the colors and the parts and the types of vegetables. But we also have to eliminate the chemicals. Mm-hmm. We have to eliminate these genetically modified organisms, the bioengineered, right? We have to eliminate this stuff. The chemicals, I think, are not getting nearly enough attention. That kids are eating, like I said before, 67% of their calories coming from ultra-processed foods. That means a lot of that is chemically based, right? A lot of it is being created in labs. That is not something the human body can recognize as food. So we take in Skittles and fast food burgers and chicken nuggets and all kinds of donuts, right? Pepperoni pizza. You know the standard American child diet, right? That's a separate subset of the standard American diet. And all those chemicals go into a kid's body, and it's really hard for their little bodies to manage that, right? And a lot of it plays out as emotional stuff or inability to process stuff or inability to sit in a classroom or inability to self-regulate. It comes out in all kinds of ways. And there's actually research that shows if you can take those chemicals and the junk, the plain junk out of a child's diet, it can certainly decrease their issues with a lot of these neurodevelopmental problems. Mm-hmm. So that's how it's connected. I also think that if the mom, while she's pregnant, is eating these kind of foods, it doesn't give the child anything to develop with. Okay, so here's an interesting study that was done. I'm gonna say it was in 2018. It was by, lead author was Bruguglio, I think was the name. And they looked at where you get neurotransmitters in your diet. So you can actually get acetylcholine and GABA and histamines and glutamate, and a couple others in your diet. You actually get the ones that were seeking the acetylcholine and the GABA and the serotonin and the dopamine, that was the other one, from plant foods. They're in there, right? Those things are not coming from Skittles and donuts and sweetened cereals and cow's milk, and it's not there. It's not there. So if we're feeding our kids this whole set of foods called the standard American child diet, they're not getting the basic neurotransmitters that they need just to sit and function in school.
Yeah. Doesn't autism start earlier before the child's really had time to be on the standard American diet?
Their first birthday, think about it. Their first birthday, what does every parent want to take a picture of? The baby diving face first into a cupcake. That's what they want, right? And it's off from there. It's all off from there. But there's certainly a group of kids who have issues with the chemicals, and when you can remove the chemicals from their food, they do a whole heck of a lot better. Even if, let's say, you don't know which track your child is on, but you know they got a neurodevelopmental challenge. It can't hurt to start feeding them fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, mushrooms, whole beans, legumes, whole grains, right? You're only stacking the deck in their favor.
Could you be with somebody who isn't vegan?
25 years. I still am. Yes. Yeah.
How's that like? What's that like?
It's, the food part was challenging. So here's my joke, all right? With him for 25 years, I'm a nurse and I'm a plant-based nurse, and I'm also being a nurse and plant-based. I'm a little bossy, okay? And having all these years of experience, I don't hold my tongue. So for 25 years, I did this math one time. I have probably said something to him at least once a week for 25 years about diet. At least once, come on, right? I'm cooking the food. He refuses to eat more than 4 green beans on his plate at a time. And he knows, I've told this story before. I'm not telling anything out of school, right? Don't put lettuce in the salad. In fact, I don't want any salad. I don't eat green beans. I don't eat Brussels sprouts. I don't eat anything from the cabbage family, actually. He has all these restrictions about what he's getting. It's amazing. Okay, so over 25 years, I probably told him something at least once a week, and more than that, but we'll go with once a week. And let's say I took 2 weeks off per year just for vacation, which I probably would never do, but okay, let's put it in there. So that's 50 times a year I told him for 25 years that the way you're eating, Wisconsin raised and grown, brats, pizza, sausage, burgers, cheese, hot dogs, that's what he ate when I met him. So over 25 years, I told him something about his diet 1,250 times, okay? At least, and it was more than that, I'm sure, right? That was not a problem, although I was being a nag, but he kept eating like that. It didn't change much until I bugged him long enough that he went and got a coronary artery calcium scan, which indicated that he had a moderate to severe risk of heart disease. That meant he had to go to a cardiologist. He went to the cardiologist. Cardiologist is a plant-based cardiologist. Yay.
Who was it?
Kevin Fullen in Kenosha. Okay, I'm still a nurse, right? So I'm like in cahoots with the doctor. Okay, so the doctor says to my husband, okay, you have a moderate to severe risk that I can't tell you you're gonna walk out of here and drop of a heart attack, but you have a really high risk, so I want you to just go whole food plant-based. Just do that. No medications, no cardiac rehab, no nothing. Just do that. And do what your wife says. Ah, yes. Do what your wife says. I'm like, nailed that one, right? Okay, 2 years. He did not do what I said. He did the junk food vegan thing. He sort of eliminated, decreased the animal products, but he went into the junks. So just not good stuff.
Yeah.
And I got tired of nagging, right? I'm thinking, all right, just I can't nag anymore. I can't do it. Okay, this past April, he had a heart attack. Okay? Let me tell you, I was livid. Livid. Now, I know you're not supposed to get mad as a nurse. You're not supposed to get mad at your patients, right? But, okay, this was completely preventable. He had the heart attack. The right coronary artery was 100% blocked, and the one they call the widowmaker was 90% blocked. I think, or 75. We'll go with 75. I think it was 75. They were able to pull him out of it. He got the stent placed, and he came home on 5 medications, right? My worst nightmare. Livid I was, just so angry, right? Went back to the plant-based cardiologist, and he says, okay, looks like you dodged a bullet. You had no permanent damage to your heart muscle. Your contraction strength is still good, right? We got the stent in there. Your perfusion, the circulation to the heart is good. Here's what I want you to do. Go whole food, plant-based, 100%, no vegan junk. And do what your wife says. Just do what she says, right? Yeah. So now, that was in April, and now he is honestly 100% whole food, plant-based.
Wow.
He's reading the labels, he's watching the salt, and he used to salt, he even would salt pickles. I mean, seriously, bad, right? But he's turned it around. Since April, diet primarily. He was on medications there to right out of the hospital, but within 8 weeks, he dropped his cholesterol and the triglycerides, the HDL, the LDL, all of it by 66%. So I was able to call his doctor and say, we want off these meds. Off. So now he's only on 2. He was able to stop the statin, stop the heart contraction medication, and stop the blood pressure medication. Now he's on 2, which are just for to keep him from clotting, keep the stent from clotting. So am I able to live with somebody who's not? Yeah, I can. He's a great guy. He treats me like a princess, literally treats me like a princess. So love him to pieces.
Love, lots of love. It takes love to do that. Wow, it's beautiful. Love it. You know, this is interesting because you know, there's the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, and you know, I call those kind of the spokes on the wheel, and in the center, the hub is love to me, you know, and right, that's what you got right there for him. That's good stuff. Do you have a quote you want to share?
Well, probably my favorite, I believe, is by George Bernard Shaw, and I might tear up. I'm given to tearing up over this stuff. And I might quote it poorly, but this is how it starts. This is the true joy in life. And it goes on to say, I want you, or who's ever listening, go look this one up. Start with, just Google, this is the true joy in life. You know, it's to give yourself to a purpose that you know is greater than yourself and more important than yourself. And to stop fretting over the fact that the life that you live does not give you everything that you want. Stop being a feverish, worried clod of dirt because life isn't what you want it to be. Go out and do something that will make a difference in the world. Have a torch and pass it to the next generation, that the world can be a better place.
That's beautiful. You're making me tear up. Awesome. So your website, what is your website?
Plant-based nutrition movement, we go by pbnm.org. Okay. You can email us directly. It's 6mseeds@pbnm.org. And our podcast is Growing a Healthy Child, available wherever you like to find your podcasts.
I love that. Growing a Healthy Child is so awesome. And we are at the National Health Association Conference. And is this your first year here? Or?
This is my second year.
Second year.
Yeah, yeah, we were here last year.
Nice. Tell us a little bit why you like coming here.
Oh my goodness. You know, so I met Wanda, I'm going to say a year and a half ago. And I told her about our child nutrition project. And she has children of her own, and she has a beautiful little granddaughter. And anybody who is paying attention, and certainly if you have children in your life, it's just too blatantly obvious that we're not taking care of our kids, right? We're not doing the best by them. And when I told her our mission and the purpose of our project, she was just like, I will do whatever I can to support you. What can I do? How can we work together? How can we make this a thing? How can we make it real? So last year, we came to the conference, we had a booth, and that's about all it was. We enjoyed the conference and that's what it was. And then she also helped us with our Child Nutrition Summit, which was in December. She allowed us use of her online platform, Hopin, which is what the conference was on this year also, which was just phenomenal. And our Nutrition Summit, Child Nutrition Summit, was a great success. For a first year, I thought it was amazing. We had 4 days with 11 different speakers and delivered a lot of great information, great result. So, it's an ongoing relationship that we have with the NHA, and Wanda and Mark Huberman are just, they're genuinely wonderful people. They're very kind, they're very generous, and they're all about making the world a better place. I mean, I can't argue with that. They're passing the torch, they're not worried about what the world isn't giving them. They're making it. They're creating a beautiful way to be, beautiful life.
Child Nutrition Summit. Now, you're having another one, I guess, every year?
That is the goal, yes. So our next one won't be until this coming January. There's a lot of the gatherings and summits and conventions and retreats and everything seem to happen in the fall, like late summer, fall.
Yeah.
So just to get a little bit out of that congested space, we're going into January.
Good idea.
Yeah, it's online, so it's available to everybody.
I love it. Oh, this is great. You think you'll do it every year in January?
Yes.
Good. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was a quick interview, but probably one of the most powerful ones.
Well, thank you. So glad you caught me right when you did, because we were about to leave.
Yeah, there were several people that were like, you really got to get her. I was like, okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you to all the people who watch out over me. I appreciate it.
You're beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.